Sorry about that. Good to see everyone again.
Hi, all.
Hi.
You.
We were hanging in here till the very end the other night.
You
so
stayed up all night to
Oh,
watch.
yeah.
Oh,
Yay.
I couldn't believe the next morning I started counting the hours and I thought that was like another day's work, right? For those, for everyone
Good
there.
job, you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sure was. For those of you who didn't hear, we had our Thursday night and into Friday morning. We had our Planning and Zoning Commission hearing. And at the 11th hour, actually it was 1:45 in the morning, we were unanimously approved for Polestar Village. So
yay.
hallelujah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was a long night, and it was combination cathartic and traumatic, and oh my gosh, it was just a very epic moment. Oh my gosh, Joe Oliver's here.
Oh my goodness.
Yay. But yeah, it was kind of fun for me because
Hello.
I was
Hi, Joe.
good to see you, Joe. Wow.
Hey, good to see
All the
y'all
way from
too.
Japan.
Yeah, it's 8:30 a.m. here.
All right. Well, that's not bad. Pretty darn good.
Yeah, good time.
It was fun for me because there was about, I don't know, were there 15 of us there from Polestar? About
There was more than
there
that.
was 15 of us there, and it was grueling. I mean, we sat and watched for 5 hours before we got our turn. So just that was enough to take you out of your normal frame of reference. And then,
Yeah.
we're getting lots of notices from people who are watching online and praying for us and wishing us well. And it was just an amazing thing at midnight to feel a lot of sort of community energy. It was just really, really powerful and strong. And boy, we needed every ounce of it too. It was a rough night. But we are officially approved now, and that sort of marks a whole new era in the plan and development. It changes the economics, it changes the trajectory of the planning, and the financing changes. Everything, it improves basically. So yeah, I want to really, especially, hi Vikram, I haven't seen you in a long time either. I want to especially thank all of you investors. Well, everybody who's helped out, but you investors are in a special category of sort of taking a swing at this thing with us when it was just a hope and a prayer. So thank you all so much. Yeah, I think we wanted to believe in it, and it's never looked more possible of becoming real than it is right now. So thank you all. So any new people today who want to introduce themselves? We haven't seen you much. Lisa, welcome. And where are you from?
I was at the other meeting.
Oh, you were at the last meeting. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad you could join
And the
us.
Foothills West of Golden, yeah.
Yeah. She's a glutton for punishment. She went through the last.
No, just curious. Curiosity.
Oh, thank you. You could join us. And Carolyn?
Yep. Hi, I'm in Fort Collins, and just kind of heard about what you all are doing, and wanted to learn more. So
great. And how did you hear about it?
a friend told me that you were having a meeting so that was that's how I heard about it.
Word of mouth. Our advertising people are always requesting to find out how people heard about it. So that's one of our tasks at these meetings, to find out how people heard about it. So thank you.
I heard about it through a Rolfer in Boulder.
Okay, very interesting.
Wow.
Rolfer in Boulder. That's interesting. Wow. All right, well, welcome everyone. I believe we have music today to start the meeting with. Yay, my favorite.
We do.
Okay, and the rule is if you want to sing along, which I don't know if it's a sing along,
It
you
is.
have to
Well,
mute. That's the Zoom rule.
Yeah. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Marcella, and this is Wayne. And we chose a sing-along, but it'll be a sing-along for a certain generation. Not maybe everybody will know this. It's called Home by Carla Bonoff, and we thought that that would be some thematic for Polestar. So sing along if you know the words. Otherwise, they're kind of easy to learn. So at least the chorus is. Ready?
Ready.
2, 3. Traveling at night, the headlights were bright, and we'd been up many an hour. And all through my brain came the refrain, home and its warming fire. Oh, sings me of sweet things. I has been so pleased to fly. Oh, I'm still. I've seen they come in between the cities of tiring life. The trains come and go, but inside you know the struggle will soon be a fight. The heart sings me of sweet my life. There has been so things the fire. Oh, I'm still. Traveling at night, the headlights were bright. Soon the sun came through the trees. Round they spin the evergreen scent, the sweet scent of home on the breeze. Oh, sings me of sweet things. My life. There has been so many things to fly over. Oh, I'm still. Now.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Wow. I want to hear that song not on a Zoom call sometime, like a recording. That was cutting in and out a lot. Was anybody else? My internet isn't too great here. Yeah.
I think I saw somebody in the chat saying no audio, so
Oh,
apparently,
it cut out for a while, but I got parts of it.
oh darn. Okay. Well, anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Wow,
you.
and harmonica and everything. Very cool. Yeah, fun. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Few people came in a little late, and I'll just mention again that we did have our Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on Thursday night, and we did pass unanimously. So that was a huge, huge moment, something we've all been working for the last 3 years, basically. So yeah, it's a whole new ball game at Polestar now, and very exciting time. So I see we already have a hand up, do we? I see a hand up somewhere.
Marcia. Marcia, do you have a question?
Oh, one thing, thank you for confirming about the noise thing. I mean, I couldn't hear either, and I thought I couldn't think it was my computer. But
Sure.
so thank you for confirming that. Yes, I stayed on as long as I could the other night from the Bay Area. And one thing I picked up, which I thought was very interesting during all of the other ones before it got to your turn. I know it was like the last one on the list, right?
Yep.
The agenda. All right. So one thing I thought was very interesting is that a comment that I had written down was residential density is required to create additional amenities in an area and to support them. And I thought that is a real selling point for Polestar.
Very good point. Very good point. And to build community, having
Right.
close access, that proximity thing that we've talked about, is a big part of human connection.
Because it was an argument that came up with one of the other, ones that they were talking about. And that was one of the things that the council said is, well, in order for us to, be able, somebody probably was talking about their community and why there wasn't more of these amenities being built around there. And I thought, wow, this is a great point to share with you.
Oh, very good. Thank you. And yeah, it was quite an education to sit there and watch 3 other projects go through the process as well. It was interesting. But yeah, we
So
did.
congratulations, Michael and everybody else. I have to say, I was so excited when I got that email, since I didn't stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning to wait it out.
We had my sister's on the East Coast, and she didn't make it. She quit at midnight. We were only getting started, It was like, because midnight over there was just 10 o'clock here. So yeah, our planner predicted that he would that we would go till midnight. That was his prediction, which I he was absolutely correct. By the way, he was not very well, unfortunately, and but he stuck it out. He had a bad cold and wouldn't shake your hand and was trying to keep away from people, but he did a nice job anyway, and that wasn't at the top of his game, but yeah, everything's different now. We're sort of at a new phase in the project, and just to give you a little bit of knowledge about what's coming. So that is a huge step, but it's not the final step. That is the PDP approval, preliminary development plan approval, and it basically ensures that there's nothing really to stop the plan from proceeding, other than money, of course, and finishing all the planning and engineering and documentation and etc. So it's a bunch of follow through on things that have already been queued up and understood and well understood and vetted. but now you have to actually, follow up and do all that stuff, and it's months of work. Um, and it's also iterative in the sense that my planner says it's normally 3 iterations that get you to final development plan approval. And but it's no longer a political process. It's just the process. It's a very practical process of dotting the i's and crossing the t's and getting all those different departments that have already told us everything they wanted, now delivering it for them with a ribbon around it. So we're very excited to be at this new phase. There's a lot of fundraising to go, but now fundraising does get significantly easier, as I've explained to most of you before. We're going to be in this process of those who have already contributed via our peer-to-peer lending program will be able to convert to a more specific investment in a place they would like to live at Polestar. And then after that process is done, it'll be open to anybody to invest and who's interested in the vision. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about we want to leave time for questions for sure. If anybody has any so far about this topic, just the approvals, I'm happy to field a few questions or comments on that. Anybody so far? Okay.
Michael, I have a question, if it's
Sure.
okay, about a comment that one or two of the commission members made. And I'm curious if you can shed any light on the nature of their comment, where they were concerned or portrayed the land deal as non-conforming.
Yes. And okay, so here's the thing, and this was all news to me when we were putting the project together, and it's a good thing we're relatively naive, because we had never gotten this far if we really knew what we were doing. But when we went to buy the property, it was clear that Dennis and Bailey wanted to keep their house, at least for now. They had already been through one round of attempting to develop this property with someone else, and it didn't work out. And so they wanted to have a little more arm's length interface with this project. And it's also true that the way it was explained to me at the time, which I didn't really understand all the ramifications of it at the time, to be perfectly honest. However, it all worked out for the best, actually. It worked out in a way that it all came to fruition. But the proper way to do that would have been to make a subdivision of 2 lots, Dennis and Bailey's, and the part we were purchasing, and that's a very typical thing. However, it would have taken 12 months, a lot more money, and time we didn't have. So it was proposed, and the lawyers signed off on it, that we do what's called a non-regulated land split. And so it's not illegal, but neither is it in the straight and narrow. It's something the lawyers do it all the time, and it's an accepted thing, but it's a little bit of outside the normal track, I guess you could say. And so that to us at the time seemed the only way we could do it. Honestly, we didn't really seem to have another option. And so it allowed Dennis and Bailey to be paid and keep their home, and it allowed us to proceed with the balance of the property in a full subdivision. So basically, we didn't want to go through the process we just went through twice. And now, to be fair, that would have been a much simpler process. But it's still, by everybody's best guess, would have taken 12 months and many tens of thousands of dollars, you know. So, and then we would have gone through the whole process again. So at the end of the process we're in, everything will be back to fully subdivided and legit. That is part of the deal. And so that's how we ended up there. And if I had understood the full ramifications, it's not clear what would have happened, honestly. In this case, it all worked out, you know. So
And Gail, one of the commissioners spoke as if that move was Dennis and Bailey's, was motivated by Dennis and Bailey, and that wasn't correct at all. You know, our attorneys and our land planners suggested and sent and worked us in that direction, and we were just sort of following their advice, as were Dennis and Bailey.
Yeah, there were a handful of things that were said that night that were, well, more than a handful, that were
But by the
very
commissioners.
unfair. And you know, for those of you who weren't there, we took a bit of a beating on certain levels, but it kind of goes with the territory, you know. It is, and we empathize with our neighbors a lot. You know, I understand it. There's no way to do something like this without impacts. It's just,
Yeah.
And then in the end, the one planner characterized it as, you know, you've got residential zoning right up against there's going to be a transition somewhere between residential zoning and mixed use zoning, and it's just always hard, you know. And it was hard for our neighbors, and I definitely feel for them. And I will take this opportunity to hammer on a point of culture that we really want to live more locally. We really want to drive less. That's part of our vision in living in this community, that more pieces of our lives are in one place, so you can walk. And so I'm hoping everybody thinks about that a lot and takes it to heart, and especially when you do have to drive, that you drive slowly through the neighborhood. You know, it's a careful thing to do, and it's a sensitive thing to do, and especially given how much difficulty they had with this topic. And you know, it is the topic that always comes up at these meetings. You know, in fact, that the planner made a joke: we're not the Planning and Zoning Commission, we're the Parking and Traffic Commission, because it's the topic that always, you know. And there's no easy answers, but one of the answers is that we could be more caring in how we use our vehicles. We could drive less, we could bike more, we could walk more, we can, when we do drive slowly. So I really do believe that in the long run it'll prove out that we're a real asset to the community, and that is my strong intention. So
Michael,
yeah.
I have a question. I just wondered if the meeting was recorded. I'm assuming it was. I went in to look, and they hadn't, because I couldn't stay up that late either. I'd love to hear how it all went, how it was put together.
It was recorded, yes.
Okay, great.
And so you can take a look. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I will
just
get this for myself.
Michael, I just wanted to say how heartening it was to see, even though there was a lot of strong emotion in the room, it was so heartening to hear from the people that supported Polestar Village, and even people who weren't necessarily going to be a part of Polestar Village, right? But they want to support. I mean, you could just really feel the difference when people spoke in support of it, and not in a way that was attacking the people who had concerns, who had valid concerns. And so I thought it was a beautiful illustration of, I think, the influence the community can and will have in the area.
Thank you for saying that. I totally agree. It surprised me how well they spoke and passionately about what it meant for them to have Polestar in their life. So that was actually very moving.
There were even a couple of neighbors who supported it that I've never met them, right? And when he wanted to speak twice and he couldn't. Finally.
Elliot has a question.
Go ahead, Elliot.
Yeah, not so much a question. I just thought one of the counselors towards the end said something like, could you all like have a bus and go together when you go to the grocery store? And I thought, that's not a bad idea. They have bi-weekly trips to one of the big stores or whatever, so we don't all have to take separate cars. I mean, I think there's ways to do it.
Absolutely. And well, how about this? Let's have a big kitchen and eat meals together, and one person will go do all the shopping, for a lot of the food, there's so much efficiency built into living this way. It's ridiculous. Diva and I went for a bike ride the other way, and we're, huffing and puffing, pedaling around. Somebody comes by us on an e-bike with like one of those child carriers on the back, only there was not a child in it. It was just a cargo hold, and they just zoomed right by us. But it made me realize, boy, you could shop, you could go to Home Depot with that rig, you could, it's really, so there's a lot of good ways to get out of your car these days, and it is more humane on many levels. So anybody else?
Hey, Michael.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, I would say, that I felt you're sensitive, obviously, as a kind human to neighbors having their moments, but I thought the whole thing was fairly tempered. We've been in these things before. You always have a few people who have a lot to say, and even those, with the one exception, were very measured, that it wasn't the Polestar development. They like their streets the way they are. They won't be the same. It's an understandable concern. But the commissioners, several of them spoke different points that, yes, we run into this every time there's a new development, especially an infill development, which established neighborhoods are used to having that big open space. But I thought that Ken did a wonderful job. I thought that the commissioners had to give energy to the people with concern. And I thought it was very fair. And at the end of the day, as they stated, and any of you haven't heard it, you can hear the recording, they are bound by code, and we are completely within compliance to code and legality. In fact, we exceeded by a large margin. So I don't think we have anything to feel like if we could have, would have different. I think we've exceeded all the requirements by a long shot, and a lot less impact, as you wrote in your letter, will be felt locally than what they anticipate from a traditional development. We won't be building every home at one time. There won't be 12 houses going up in the next 5 minutes or whatever. It's going to be spread out a bit, realistically. And even if it's not, the one commissioner brought up the two streets that people were worried about. He kept saying, remember York, I think his name was, just go down Orchard to the other road to what is it at the other end. There's multiple ways to go. It's really okay. But I felt like the commissioners gave room for everybody to be there. And then they defended us and Polestar and the energy against the one fellow's comments about anti-religion, and said, no, there's plenty of religious people. But I wanted to say, it's a spirituality, not a religious community anyway. It's a spiritual neighborhood, and not an intentional community so much as an aware educational community. And we may have our individual spirituality that overlaps together, but it's going to be a lot different than I think some of the people realize. And it's going to be much more positive. And I know that the commissioners know that. They know it. With a few cases, they really do see it. I just want to get that out since we're talking about it.
Thank you. No, and we have spent 2.5 years and millions of dollars doing nothing but trying to comply with the codes. That's how we've spent the last 2.5 years, literally. So, all right, but yeah, congratulations everyone, and thanks again for supporting this project. I really think it's got amazing potential. So we have a topic we wanted to cover today, and Susan's going to share about it, and I'll do a little preamble on it. Most of you know about it. It's the elder living, the combination elder living and preschool, which we are is commonly referred to as the wellness center, you know, or we say the intergenerational wellness center. So there's different aspects of that vision that we're still working on. We're trying to clarify it. We're trying to find the path for it, in particular the economic path. But we're trying to find the right way that it should express itself in our community. And I will start by saying that, as most of you probably know, not all, but most of our downstairs units in the community are designed for age in place. And that really is our main strategy for elders, is that we can actually live and die in our own homes. You know, that isn't always possible, but we want to make that the first option for everyone. And I think that's important. And what we've learned is that if we design that in community wide, we can take care of each other efficiently as we grow older, when that's sort of the culture. But then we do have this elder living thing, because there comes a time when that's not, it is more of an assisted living type thing. But anyway, Susan, I'll let you, let me just introduce Susan briefly if you don't know her. She is a great cook. I'll start with that because I've gained 5 pounds and she moved in next door. And she lives right next door now, moved from Kansas recently. And she is Mookie's grandmother. Those of you know Mookie. She's also, the way we met Susan was we were in Santa Rosa, California, and Abram went to her school. She started this school and was the principal of it for many years, a Montessori school. And she's been a Montessori school teacher's teacher for many, many years. So anyway, she's got a wealth of wisdom and experience in many ways, and we're really glad she's on our team here. So, okay, Susan, where are you going to start?
All right, Michael, thank you. Since all systems are go now for after the approval, the plans that we have been working on and moving towards is the Elder Center with a preschool. And that provides the elders with that joy of having the children nearby, and the children of having the calm, peaceful, generous nature of the elders right at hand. And the elders can be there when they are meditating. They can be together when they have yoga. The elders can be there for listening to the new readers, which is probably the most joy I had in the preschool, was just sitting there and thinking they're getting it all on their own. So that concept is not new. It's at facilities, about 150 facilities in the United States, and many of them are funded by the federal government and private institutions. So we're on a mission now to seek that funding so we can have liftoff. And that is entirely possible. Everyone that I've talked to is very excited about it. So with that in mind, the Elder Center would have about 8 elders who weren't living in the homes on the property, that wanted to be in a facility of their own, a private room where they didn't necessarily want to cook, and they would want to be, secluded during the day and have the opportunity to eat with everyone at meals. It would also be in a portion of the, are we going to bring up the schematic or not?
We
It's,
certainly can. We certainly can.
it's on a portion, if we can. It's
Go
on a
ahead,
portion
Dina.
of
We
the
can.
property
She's
that
on.
is very peaceful and quiet. And it's down at the southeast corner. And it is surrounded by the community center, the open space for the path and the trees and the creek. It also has a portion of the building that's the preschool that will have a glass wall where they can watch the children without necessarily being in the classroom. And then the elders and the children would share a solarium on the southeastern side of the building, which looks out into this riparian area and the mountains. And the southeast portion is really nice in the wintertime because it's so sunny. So the solarium there would be, and that would be what, if the arrow can come down to where that gray spot is over on this other side over here. We haven't really formalized this footprint, but we're talking about the preschool being at that upper corner. No, that's not it. It's over.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then having a solarium on the south side here where they share a garden, just a sunny spot. And you can see it's access to the community center, the temple, and there's a playground for the whole community, right, over by the pavilion, not far away. So all of those things are conducive to having about 12 preschoolers and 8 elders in that building. And there is a picture of the inside of the building. If you go on the website and you look up the floor plans, you'll see it. So that's about it. Are there any questions about?
Well, let me add something. Just that the idea, one of the things Vina and found, which was very inspiring, was groups of people who are doing what they call elder care co-ops. And this whole industry of elder care is in crisis, if you ever read the paper. You know, it's like we've gotten so far away from just the common sense idea that we care for each other and how that manifests for people with special needs like kids or elders. And so this elder care co-op is just a concept where you have committed volunteers. You have people who are willing to put in some time here and there. And I think the overarching goal for us is to create the culture that gets back to that idea that we not only know our neighbors, but we care for each other, for those who, and this is, you know, such a more sensible, affordable, reasonable alternative than raising all the money in the world or building all the big buildings or whatever it's going to solve this problem. We have to, and then what I think is that when you grow up in that culture, you know, you keep paying it forward. It just becomes a natural thing, and so with all the resources that we have in place on the Polestar campus, which includes the community center, which I think could be a big interface point with the elders. You know, we could have elder daycare and invite other elders to come for certain events and times. We could use the community center for some of the events and times when to get elders involved. There's a lot of meaningful ways to contribute in a community. The garden, the kitchen, the maintenance, the cleanup, just to be in the flow of normal home living. You know, there we've seen quite a bit, and we actually did it ourselves for a while in Hawaii, where they have they have raised beds that are actually countertop height, so you can actually garden at height, which is very very fun and good idea. So anyway, there's so many ways, just like we do with kids who have special needs. We think about how to serve them. We have to do the same with the elders, and I think most importantly, it becomes part of the culture, because with people committed to it, there's a million ways to make life rich and full and work well for all different kinds of people. Yes, go ahead.
I also want to remark about the possibility of having health care within the facility from professionals for those that do need it. Interim health care has committed, if we use them, to having an office there and setting up a schedule for each person according to their needs, and having that option of being billed to Medicare or your Medicare Advantage insurance. And they did that at my father's facility, and they were wonderful. They took it all the way through hospice. I mean, he was in his apartment, and I, saw the last 2 weeks of their care with him every day for 24 hours, and it was wonderful. And so they accommodated me, they accommodated the Ananda music playing, and the food that we wanted to feed him, and the care we wanted to give him. They were right there with us. So they are committed to doing it. It is something that is can be right there within the facility. They would just have nurses on staff all 24 hours to accommodate your personal needs.
Awesome. And the idea we have so far is we want to build the building we build in a way that it would pass code for a real assisted living center, But our plan is to not start there, but it's more to start there with independent living, seniors who want to live there. It could be one of the ways we could finance the building. So I'm mentioning this to everyone just to think about, because it has nice places to live that are sort of a suite. Some of the units are sort of a suite where you've got a little, sink and a hot plate, and then there'd be meals made as well. So anyway, it's all still getting designed, and the details are being worked out, and the way this sort of thing happens is people who are interested get involved. So if you're interested in this project in any way, want to volunteer to help figure it out, want to maybe invest in it, or want to maybe live there, or know someone who might be any of those, you can contact Vina, and we for about a year we had a group, and it was great. We made a lot of progress on the vision. We had about 5 people who were involved in the elder living world in one way or another, and we were meeting once a month. And we sort of dropped that in the last 6 months, just been so busy with other things, but we're going to start it again next year. So if you have an abiding interest in this topic, you're certainly welcome to get involved, and just let us know.
Michael, Katrina has a question.
Oh, sure. Oh, wait, are you muted? We're not hearing you. Or maybe your volume's down, because it doesn't look like you're muted. Yeah, I'm not. Is anybody hearing her? I'm not.
Mm-mm.
Darn it. Use
You win
hands.
that up.
Yeah.
You want to type it in the chat, maybe? Your question in the chat, if it's easy enough?
We can't hear you.
Who's good at lip reading?
I suppose leaving the meeting and coming back might work out.
Oh, thank you for that, Joe. Yeah. Leave and come back, and then we'll come back to you because it would be good to hear.
It might help.
Yeah. And try your volume.
Mhm.
All right, she'll come back. But anyway, I just see that as a very rich and wonderful part of the Polestar lifestyle. In part, a culture that is wired to be involved, you know, and wired to volunteer, and kids and elders are just, you know, such great resources for all of us, and to really have that be in focus and part of the daily life, I think is really enriching thing.
Well, Michael, when I saw Vina working in the Elder Center at Laurelwood, it really inspired me to start thinking about this kind of process, because the gentle, and I'm not sure if it was a training you took or it's just part of your nature, which is very much so, but the way that they spoke to the elders, the way that they took them through the day, the things that they provided for them, they were always felt like they were the center. They were the ones, the focus of the day, and they weren't ever shuffled off. It was always with the utmost love and care that was being done, even, you know, setting the place for dinner that was special just for them that they needed. And it really inspired me to think they need to have the special place rather than being shuffled off into, you know, away from everyone.
Absolutely.
I think that simply becomes more possible with the smaller scope of project, right? Like in a home as opposed to a facility, right? So, yeah.
And then we talked about the upstairs, the places upstairs could be for family members to come in and visit if they didn't live on site, and come and visit and stay for a while. Those apartments upstairs would be available for that if someone didn't live up there.
We also have talked about that our current understanding is when we really get into memory care issues, it becomes difficult. You know, we don't really, it becomes a different kind of care, and we aren't sure how we would provide that. And I'm mentioning that because I'm not satisfied with that. It's not a satisfying thing to think about. So, you know, and you do read, you've probably seen these places that have a whole village for memory, you know, care, elders, and it's designed to keep them safe, and they have a lot of autonomy, and you know, but it's not an easy thing to do at all. Yeah, it's exactly right. A separate facility. That's our conclusion at the moment. Marcia, you've got your hand up. Go ahead. And did we get?
Hi, I just want to say that this is one of the major attractions to Polestar for me, not just because I'm also, you know, in my later 70s, but I actually went back and got my master's degree when I was 62 years old. I went back and I graduated 3 years later in gerontology. Okay, so this is the wave of the future. This is what is meant to happen, exactly what you're proposing today, because even these assisted living type places, these sort of formal places, a lot of them are like $6,000 a month, you know, the ones that have any that you'd want to even be in. And so this is what really has attracted me also with Polestar, is that you have this vision and the fact that you're incorporating the continuous care, but very few of, you know, unless you have a large enough community, And I think it also has to do, at least this is not offensive, but attribute it to the fact that you are very experienced and you are approaching that age also, right? So that impressed me, is that, you have the means to look at it this way. And so I would love to help contribute with any ideas. Yeah. And
Great.
help with
Great.
anything. Yes.
I'll bet you learned a lot by getting that degree too. That's amazing. Could be very useful.
Well, basically, it actually just really reinforces what you're doing. And this is what, and not only that, we have to realize, be reminded that the boomers were a big generation. We've got a lot of people that are moving into that category. Thousands and thousands. We are going to be the heaviest, probably, population, and that means worldwide, not just here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Katrina, let's try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you. So, I'm a community mental health practitioner, and I work with people who have serious and persistent mental illness, but I've worked in a lot of group homes. Now they're called adult foster homes. And I've worked in many nursing homes and some assisted living. And so that's something that I could contribute, but I would have to work a full-time job aside from that. So doing that and volunteering, to work with the elders would be a lot. So I'm wondering, would you ever work something out where if some of the volunteers are experienced, if they could work for part of their stay for their, rent? I really believe in work-life balance, and I think that everyone is so overworked. So I would like to do some work, uh, at the community and be able to, be home a little more if I'm volunteering. So I was just wondering if you'd ever thought about that with some of the.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think that's the big problem, and the reason you can't get anyone to want to do this work is because there's no support system for it. There's no,
Mhm.
this is where I think the volunteer network ties in,
Mhm.
because it takes a village not just to raise a child, but to take care of our elders too.
Yeah.
And so I think the context is very important. Um, but absolutely, this is employment opportunity, no question about that.
Mhm.
And in fact, I heard recently that they say in-home care is predicted to be one of the highest growing job opportunities
Mhm.
in the future. Which makes sense given what Martha just said about the silver tsunami, all the elders. So and absolutely, I think that would be the goal. And I think the whole thing about work-life balance is key. I think because it's really about, that's where the meditation really comes in too,
Mhm.
because that's a way, having that balance of activity and stillness really brings wholeness and wellness.
Mhm.
And so a culture that has that in the mix also will also do much better on that score.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Um,
Katrina.
Thank you.
Joe, I saw your comment. Oh, sorry, Susan, go ahead. I'm talking too much.
I just thought of there's times when seniors, want to have the quiet and don't want to be, having children nearby, and that's an option with the facility that we considered, that you don't have to have the children there. They won't be running through the elder center. They're confined to the preschool, they're confined to the solarium, and the adults who want to enter into that area of the solarium or just watch through the windows, it's up to you, but it's not a condition of living there that children are going to be underfoot.
Very good.
And Leslie makes a comment in the chat. It interests her also. She works with children and also have experience in some areas of healthcare.
Great.
Excellent. And that's Leslie?
Leslie
Prompton? I'm writing.
Compton.
Okay.
Oh, Joe, I was going to say on your comment, the group home classification in Fort Collins, the 8 number is a magic number. You know, you go beyond 8 and you get into a whole nother realm of bureaucracy and building code, et cetera, et cetera. But
I see.
But this is where I think the aging in place comes in, because if you had this active elder care co-op, which is a network of resources you can draw on, and people who are willing to help, and your neighbors, and you actually the elder facility is just one more tool in the overall picture. You know, it's not everything by a long shot. So
Right. So is that regulation, does it mean that you can only have one facility with 8 people, or you can have multiple buildings with 8 people living there?
it's a good question. You could probably have multiple facilities, but we don't have a plan for it at the moment.
Right.
But who knows? That might be something.
Yeah. And
I
if you
think
have
that,
the whole, sorry,
no.
if you have the whole system set up, you know, then you have connections for people, for nurses who can provide in-home care. And a related idea I had was, you know, networking with hospitals or like community colleges, you know, that are doing nursing programs. So people can come in and get like volunteer hours working towards their certifications. You know, doing some networking there could be helpful.
Excellent. Yes. Great idea.
And as Michael mentioned before, the elders that are living in the age in place within the community and not in the elder center could come in for daycare in the community center. And that is where all the seniors can go, the ones from the elder center and from the community together and there could be activities there every day.
From the wider neighborhood as well, you know, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know if I saw that Vina saw it in the comments, but having a connection between like after school programs and the elder program at the community center might also be a draw for people.
Absolutely.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
The elder care facility that Susan's referring to that Vina worked at, it was an adult foster care home called Ananda House. And there was a great deal of licensing and regulation involved, including healthcare, hospice potential, and so forth. And, you know, it's a topic I want us to be sure, I think we are sure, but I want us to be sure as a group to be aware. This is a highly regulated and litigious area, and we can't as a group here, and Polestar can't as a group promise something we can't deliver. There must be an entity that's responsible for care of people, that is licensed and legal and all that. I'm sure that, Susan, you know more than me, but I do know about it because I was on the board at Ananda House and we had to shut it down. And then I subsequently sold that property, and there was a lot of drama. And having said that, the need is so great. And I think we're trying to figure out an answer for the need. I lived a lot of years at Ananda Village, and Michael and Ann and I know each other from there. And I have very dear friends who are in memory care in town in Nevada City because Ananda Village, with all this history, has no ability to take care of them on that property at all. And so people have had to live their lives there for 40 years or more, and then go into town and leave their life in town at a facility called a memory care, where they could be properly cared for. But that has a bunch of factors. I mean, they're far away from town. We're here in Fort Collins, so it's a lot easier to get medical support and people come to the house and all. But I want to applaud the energy and just put out the awareness as we're all chatting that we as Polestar, I want to say, I don't believe we're promising something yet, because we have to have knowledge and create the facility concept. And that entity would be separate, in my mind, unless I'm wrong, Michael, from Polestar Village itself.
Oh,
it has
absolutely.
a facility available.
Yeah.
And we don't put Polestar Village as not a liability. It's not a liability to the village. It has to stand alone. But we can all be together with it. But this is a litigious and difficult area with healthcare. And we want to make sure we do our best to cover all the bases and give the service that I know Vina gave from all my friends who loved Vina's energy at Ananda House. The founders at Ananda House loved Vina's presence there, what she did, and those others that would be drawn to this service for all of us. So anyway, I was not a downer to bring that up, but I do feel it's important to
That's
say.
okay. Thank you,
Thanks for
Skip.
flagging it. It's a very good point. Very good point. We gotta.
And we are
with
past
this.
5:30 now.
Okay, thank you, Ann. I was wondering what time it was. I didn't have my phone here. We do go on, yes. But this is great. It's great to hear from everybody, and this seems like a topic that's up for the larger society and a bunch of us as well. And I'm glad we're really thinking about it and working it. We have an opportunity to bring something really unique and workable to this whole area. So before we sign off, anyone else have anything they would a final word? Oh, Marcia's got her hand up.
Marcia's got a quick
Here
one.
I am again. Well, actually, I heard that it's not going to be June or July for the national conference. It's going to be August now. For the National Co-Housing Conference in Denver.
It's in August, early August is what I understand.
August, okay.
Yes.
So you were thinking of breaking ground around that time?
We are hoping to break ground midsummer, yes.
So first of all, I had heard that it was going to be June or July or something, that the conference, but now I've heard that it's August. All right, so if I come there in August, then and you haven't broken ground yet, so also, are you going to have any kind of like program you might put together for prospects like me that want to invest and have already decided on which property? I'd like to look at architectural plans at this point.
You bet.
Marcia, I've got you on my list. I'll be talking to you.
Yes.
ASAP.
Okay, I need
And
an
the
update
answer
on
is
that
yes and
because
yes.
because I need to know, plans. I need to talk about, I need to arrange, because I live way out here in the West Coast, and what I'm going to be doing, and so I just would like some, to know. I would like to look at. I'm pretty sure what I want, is to have, maybe a single family plot, so that and maybe I'll do a duplex. But
Nice.
but what I'd like to do is kind of look at, is there an architect I talk to, or what, are there any preliminary plans?
I'm going to talk to you, Marcia, just as we did
Can help
before.
you out though. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
be in touch.
So Skip is the guy. He's the contact.
Yeah, you could start with him, and then we get closer to building questions. We'll get the architect involved and myself as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, glad you're interested.
I know it takes a long time.
Okay.
It takes a long time to plan and to, all the specs that I'm interested in. I've been around doing this stuff for quite a while in the Bay Area, so I'm that person that was, did all that stuff.
We'll do it just as we talked about before.
Okay.
Now, the other night made a big change. Now we're able to do more.
Okay.
Okay.
Quickly too, that for everyone's sake, we didn't know what was going to happen this week, but we had penciled in the weekend of a June 7th, 8th, and 9th, or something like that, to that weekend as a potential ground blessing. Our gardeners took issue with groundbreaking. so, so it's a ground blessing. And so anyway, we're about to nail that down, but it's close to being nailed down. So I'll just mention it briefly now. Don't book your ticket yet, but it looks like we will go ahead with that. And that might be a fun time to come for all of you, because we'll have dignitaries from all over the world. The Dalai Lama will be there. The Pope. Yeah. But we're working on them. They haven't committed yet, but we're working on them. But we will be there, and it'll be a good, fun time to get more people together and meet more of you in person, and
We
have
should,
some fun.
yeah.
Is
Go
there a
ahead.
possibility that we could, you could talk to the conference people and maybe have a package or someplace that, that we could, to offer us to attend? And then
You mean
and
the
link-
co-housing?
Yeah.
The co-housing conference?
the conference, and then to link it to maybe, all right, so if I fly into Denver and I go to that, then I can get.
I think, Marcia, I think you should email Skip and Michael about these questions. I think
Okay.
they're a bigger brainstorm that needs to happen.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
we're-
Ann. I'll do that. Thank you.
We're running
Yeah.
over here. But really
Thank
great
you,
to see
guys.
everyone, and thank you all for being here, and congratulations everyone on big week for Polestar. And hope keep in touch. Lots happening. Feel free to call me if you have questions. And we're ready for a new round of investment. So we got to keep going here. So many blessings. Have a great rest of your day, and hope to see you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Good to see you.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, everybody.
Aloha.
Here, bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.